Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to this next episode of the Online Bible Institute Network podcast. Steve and Doug are here. I'm Doug. He is Steve. It's like a reverse point when I have the camera this way. Pastor Brain is having some computer issues. He sends his regards. We're going to be looking into, again, the Kingdom Alignment series. This is part 6. And, I have the privilege to preach this message, but Dad always appreciate it when you get to coach me through. It looks like we're going to be looking at the question, what do we truly hunger for, as we move into this next section where we talk about fasting for a little bit. And the scripture reading is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verses 16 through 18. When you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that it will not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen. And your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you.
Yeah. So as we've been doing this Matthew 6 series, these three main themes are in there, and giving, praying, and fasting. And I think people, were sort of wanting, like, well, how do we do these things? And the idea behind it is it's an inside out heart transformation more than anything. He expanded on the Lord's Prayer, so we spent a couple of weeks talking about prayer. But mostly it was the heart behind it, right? Rather than the how-tos. And fasting is sort of the same way. It's ultimately not about skipping meals. It's really about helping us understand our desires. And so fasting kind of helps reveal what's actually ruling our hearts. And that's the thing behind it. So again, all of these things, if you don't understand that what we're trying to get, Jesus is trying to get, is an inside out righteousness, we'll start thinking them as rules and how we're going to perform giving and praying and fasting. And then we miss the whole idea behind getting our hearts aligned with him. So fasting. And Jesus again says, when you fast. So fasting was just part of life for those people that loved God at that point in time. And so when you do it, it's what's going on behind fasting. And so because food is one of God's good gifts, right? But it can become an ultimate thing, which is the problem. And so what fasting sort of helps us ask is, what do I reach for first? And what do I depend on most? And what have I allowed to master me? And I can say that in times of discomfort, I have often turned to food. I think it was programmed into me very young, not in a mean way, but my mom always, if you were discomforted, she would make you something to eat, and it was comforting. And I think that probably happens to a lot of folks. And so the thing is, sometimes if we're stressed or things are going on, we might move towards food for comfort instead of moving towards the Lord for comfort. It's just a reality. It's a thing, right? And so none of this is, I'm not picking on anything, but sometimes that if we can sort of get the inside out idea going, when we realize that we're going to food for comfort, what we need to do is go to the Lord instead. It can actually be very helpful in moving us in the right direction. And it's sort of like when a warning light comes on your car, the warning light's not the problem; it's revealing a problem. And hunger is kind of the same way. When we fast, our cravings sort of begin to surface, and we sometimes figure out that what we're hungry for goes beyond food. We're hungry for comfort, or we're hungry for control, or we're hungry for distraction, or for approval, whatever. And so, fasting doesn't create desires. What it does is it reveals them. And so we sort of have to get a hold of that. We have to. Fasting isn't about impressing God. Sometimes I think people think that they need to fast to get God's attention. You already have God's attention. You know, we are we don't fast to earn anything. It's just part of our sort of inside out routine. It's like praying, it's like giving, it's just part of what we do. And we have to realize that it's this heart alignment thing. And so he says in that passage that you read, it's not a public display. They would make a big show of fasting and make sure everybody knew that they were fasting, when the reality is it should just be a part of your life, and it's not something that people should know. I mean, it's just something you're doing from the inside out. And what that looks like, he says in that, wash your face, go about your day, just do your thing. I love in the Old Testament, Isaiah says, because people are saying, look at me, why have we fasted? Verse 3, they say, and you haven't seen it. Like, we're fasting because we're trying to get you to do something. Why have we humbled ourselves and you haven't noticed? And then God says, yet on the day you're fasting, you do as you please and exploit all your workers. Your fasting ends in quarreling, strife, in striking each other with wicked fists. You cannot fast as you do today and expect your voice to be heard on high. He's saying, listen, it's not the performance. It's supposed to, the idea behind it is that it makes space for God. Because biblical fasting, to remember a couple thousand years ago, a big part of daily life was procuring food and preparing food. It's not like food today where, you can throw something in the microwave and have it all done in, nothing, right?
Well, we've talked timely about DoorDash too. Not that it's a bad thing, but I mean, literally, like, I want Taco Bell at 2 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah. So the idea behind a biblical fast is that you are taking away all of that procurement and preparing time. And instead of eating then and doing all that other stuff, you hang out with the Lord. It just makes space and time for God. And a biblical fast primarily was you would eat your evening meal, and then you would not eat breakfast and lunch, and you would eat your evening meal again. That was a fast. That was a biblical fast. It didn't go on. People go, well, Jesus fasted. That was Jesus 40 days. That a biblical fast is usually that. And it's not just about skipping meals for the sake of skipping meals. It's about using that time then that you would spend eating and preparing and hanging out with the Lord. And, I don't know about you, but I get hungry, right, at lunch. And so if you purposely go, okay, but instead of dealing with that, I'm just going to go and hang out with the Lord, that changes things. And people need to know that about fasting. It's it shouldn't be performance. Like I said, people don't need to know, and it should. If you have medical issues, don't skip food. I mean, there's some people you just can't, right? And please don't skip water. Some people think that fasting means don't drink. Well, drink water. I mean, that's you don't live without water, and it's not helpful. So it's about the idea behind it, just as giving and praying. It's about making time and space to connect deeply with God. That's really what's at the heart of it. And it reveals maybe some areas where we are still sort of trapped, and that we can find some, we can start to get free from, so that we have, it changes our hearts towards the Lord. The psalmist said in Psalm 42, as the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul pants for you, my God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. Where can I go and meet with God? That's at the heart, so that as those desires begin to stir up, rather than satisfy them with our own ways and means to satisfy our flesh, we go to the Lord and we hang out with him instead. And, John 6, Jesus declared, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. The idea is that, we can be satisfied in him, and that's really what we need to do. And so
tell mom, God bless you too.
Yeah, she's sneezing in the background. That's funny that my microphone picked that up.
Yeah, it deletes so much noise canceling, but you heard that from a mile away. Poor Ma.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. And that's with my door shut and her in another room. Um, so so freedom, the idea behind it, fasting helps for us ultimately be free in the Lord. And freedom is becoming a person that's no longer mastered by anything except Christ. And so that's a big deal. I love what Paul says in 1 Corinthians 6. I have the right to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything. And so, this is sort of a pretty significant idea in what that looks like. And so, we're really trying to figure out what is trying to sort of master us, and fasting helps us reveal what those things are. And so, I I will tell people, consider practicing a fast. I mean, start start simple, because some people don't fast, and then and that's okay. But yeah, I think you could skip a meal, and in that though, don't just skip a meal for the sake of skipping a meal, and take the time that you would prepare and eat, and make that more relational with the Lord. That's the idea behind it. Um, and social media fast. Now, some people do that, and again, but if you don't do that just for the sake of doing it, spend that time with the Lord instead. And that's significantly different, because a lot of people spend a lot of time scrolling, and not picking, I'm just saying, but that would free up a lot of time to go hang with the Lord. So if you're not going to do that, hang out with the Lord, read your Bibles, pray, do those things that build that sort of relationship. Um, I've suggested over and over again that a lot of people would benefit from if you watch a lot of 24-hour news, take a little break. And or maybe sometimes we're so used to noise that not having noise is a big deal. It's like maybe some quiet time. So those, and none of those things are to earn God's favor. Don't do it to earn God's favor. You do it to make space to hang out with him. That's the real big difference in these things. We're not giving in order to get something. We're not praying in order to get something. We're not fasting in order to get something. We're doing these things because this is an inside out change, and it's what goes on. It's not for show. It's not performance. It's not rule following. It's just part of the life of a believer. So that's kind of where we're heading this weekend. And yeah, yeah, I just think it's helpful. It kind of helps us get out of some of the cultural sort of, you know, in our culture, like we want what we want, right? And
Yeah.
we sort of think we've got to get after it. And this is like, let's what our hearts really need is this deep relationship with the Lord. And these things in Matthew 6 sort of help us move from the inside out. Again, that's the big deal. And get our hearts aligned with him, because that's where life really is for everybody.
Yeah, it's a really good message, and it's relatable even to today. Like you said, fasting from a social media, whatever, fasting from the news, because like food preparation used to be really difficult 2,000 years ago when Jesus was telling us it's not hard to make food now. It's not hard. I like with YouTube and my good buddy Chat GPT, I've become a halfway decent cook around the house. Like I have this hobby of smoking meats now. It's in your mid 30s, you get to a point where you have to kind of pick a lane. So I'm choosing the smoking meat lane. But it's easy. It's not like I didn't have to grow the food. Like I didn't have to butcher the food. I just buy it and it just season it. I didn't have to grow the seasonings, So you think of that, and then it's like, how much more time do we as Americans have to just spend time with God? How much more time could we have? Yet we fill it with other things. We get distracted with everything else that we can plug in. So we have all this freedom, yet we fill it with things that don't fill us. And so, this message really says, let's get aligned with God, spend time with him. That's where it all matters. So, what's mastering us, and what's really taking our time, what we can really focus on that message. And that message always hits home. So I really appreciate it. You had a thought and I kind of kept talking. Sorry.
Yeah, you just find something that, like, one day a week, pick one of those things that we talked about. It's
Yeah.
kind of good. It's like not every day. You know what I mean? Maybe one day a week. If you could do a biblical fast, it means you don't have breakfast and lunch. But don't, if you have medical issues, don't hear us. I get it. Some people they can't, so don't do that. So then pick a day and don't do one of those other things we talked about. Not to earn something, just clear that time up so that you're sort of more focused. Now, every day we should be hanging out with the Lord, but we can clear on purpose. And you'll feel yourself, when you feel yourself pulled back to those things, that's when you sort of get that they have a little hold on you, and you don't want them to have a hold on you. We have to eat, but we don't want it to have a hold on us. The habit of scrolling on the phones now, if it has a hold on you, if you can't, okay, take a break. If got to have background noise on, take a break, because that means those things they have a little hold on you that they shouldn't have. And taking some time to sort of, as you fast from those things and spend that time with the Lord, you sort of get those things set right. So a lot of this is, it's July 4th weekend. We're going to be talking about freedom as well as a nation. We're going to tie in freedom to what this helps us with. So I think it's going to be fun. I'm really looking forward to the weekend, celebrating the nation's birthday, and happening in Matthew 6.
Yeah. And we'll be preaching it. We're still doing Saturday on the 4th. I'm curious what our attendance will look like as we do church on 4th of July. It is interesting when a holiday like this falls on a church day, because it doesn't really impact Sunday morning attendance too much, because, but Saturday night we'll have a very intimate gathering, and that'll be good. And hopefully everybody joins us the following morning, and that'll be okay.
But the fireworks are after church.
Yeah. I mean, you could do both, right? You easily could.
We're done by 8, and the fireworks won't go off at 8. So it'll be later when it gets dark, because it's still light out at 8.
Yeah.
So
where we live, they do the fireworks on the 3rd, which is
that's right. So we're together doing the day early.
We'll see. I'm curious, but I plan on being at church, and I also don't plan on being out after church, but that's just me. And anyway, thank you all for listening. We're getting into the too much information portion of the show. Be with us this weekend. Kingdom Alignment Part 6, gonna be a good one. God bless you all. We will see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.